Welcome back to the question and answer session, or as it's become dubbed. I think Fastcart may have been part of the reason who dubbed it, because it does sound like a Fastcart joke, which is After Dark. So,
Oh my!
and we get to be the question and answer sessions where you get to ask some spicy questions for us to answer. I'm still with Cepheus, Griffin Gaming RPG, and Fastcart. So the topic we had to just discussed was state of the verse. Is Star Citizen's gamble of this stability over features working? The short answer is yes. Long answer is kind of.
Yes,
there are limits. Yes.
Mhm.
And if you want to check that, it'll be above CTS's head. You can click that if you watch this after the fact. And with that being said, let's get started with the first question. So this first question was asked by somebody who wasn't able to be here to ask the question. So they asked if they could DM me the question. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And in the future, by the way, when we do these sorts of state of the verse versions, so if you're watching this after the fact, I will post the title of State of the Verse on Wednesday on YouTube. So if you have questions you want to ask, you can put questions in that post on YouTube, and I will collect those questions and read from those questions first, starting in, when we do these, because usually it's going to be more of a general call-in show almost, or sort of, question, just the question and answers. All right. Let me see. The question is from TK Rex, who asks, with Discord about to potentially go through enshittification, do you think CIG needs to pivot to getting social tools out sooner? I'm deeply concerned that if Discord fails, the community will suffer immensely without direct action from CIG. I don't think that Discord is going to fail right off the bat. The process of enshittification, for those who don't know, it's a term. It's now a technical term. It was sort of a meme term, but it's sort of become it. Is basically when a good tool or service sort of just kind of becomes slop, where it starts getting more ads. It starts becoming, they start selling features rather than giving you features. And Skype.
Price.
Yeah, Skype is a good example. Skype was good and everyone used it, and then it became enshittified, and then everyone left Skype to go to Discord, ironically. And
good audio, Zoom.
Yeah. So it's basically the service slowly starts to fall down over time. And since Discord is currently going through its initial public offering, and it is its current CEO, its CEO stepped down, and the current CEO is literally one of the former CEOs of Activision Blizzard. Like, a lot of people are seeing the writing on the wall of like, yeah, this is gonna get bad, real bad. So to answer the question, I don't think it's going to happen soon. I do think it's going to happen over the course of the next year or so, as Discord becomes more desperate for money, and as well as to stay on, because they're going to have to please all of their shareholders. So we know what happens when companies become shareholder focused. Is it's all about how much money can we string out of our users as much as possible, rather than focusing on the content and what you're doing. That so I think that will happen, but I think it'll happen over the course of a year or 2 years. So, and I think within that time, CIG can get social tools in. But I also know that it's not just going to be Star Citizen that's going to suffer. Pretty much every gaming community uses Discord in some way, shape, or form, especially indie games, because it's just an easy platform to use. So it's going to hurt a lot of people. Cepheus, what do you think? Do you think CIG is going to focus on social tools faster?
I don't think CIG thinks about Discord at all.
Right.
I don't think they care like at all what happens with Discord. They care about their players, of course, and they've already didn't CIG just recently do an Evocati test with linking Spectrum to game chat?
Yeah.
I think that's us seeing the very first indication that they're actually looking at first they'll link Spectrum chat with game chat, And I think that's the first of our org tools, which in of itself isn't really an org, any sort of like socialization tool. But we're starting to see them, and I think they're going to kind of do it in their own pace. I think the enshittification of Discord is going to take a while because I don't think a bad CEO, but if he's good at it, he's going to do it slow enough that most of us will tolerate it for a really long time. That's how you do bad things well.
slowly
those guys
make
are
things worse.
the slower you enshittify it, the further it can go.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to do that really well. So it'll end up in shitified for sure, but I think they're going to take their really sweet time with it. If they do it the best, if they do it perfectly, it won't fall because we'll just accept it.
Yeah.
What's another $5 profile decoration? Who really cares, right?
Steam.
With Steam, nothing that they've done so far to me has been particularly egregious. Of course, I do have Nitro just on autopay, and I forget about it. But
everyone does.
It hasn't been enshittified yet, right? They've been doing more stuff, more cosmetics, but they're just cosmetics. Once they start paywalling features like more than they already are with Nitro, and the Nitro stuff seems. Once they start doing that stuff, then we're going to see kind of okay, what are the cards? They're going to lay their cards down. And we're going to see what happens. For now. My crystal ball's been hazy as of late.
Yeah. Griff, same thing. Do you think CIG is going to rapidly develop org tools if Discord starts to suck?
Not because of Discord. I think they're just going to do it in general. They're obviously trying to get more multiplayer type gameplay going now more, which means the communications have got to be more important. Last night I went with some friends up to the Idris, and before I got there, my friends were all complaining because the people on the Idris had their VoIP going, and there was like all these voices coming from everywhere, and we're like, well, you guys turned your mics off, shut up. There's all types of stuff going on. It was kind of crazy. And I think that you see the potential of VoIP and the potential of being able to do this in game. And as Sephi has mentioned about what they've been doing with Spectrum, I think they're just starting to move that. People have been asking for org tools 2.0 forever, and I think it's that time now, especially with them working toward trying to get people into this whole team multiplayer cooperative play. Without communications, that's horrible. So I don't think as he mentioned, I don't think it's that they're worried about Discord. I just think that it's the natural progression of where things are right now. That's kind of where I think it is.
Pascal?
Yeah, I don't think CIG is going to do it because of Discord turning the corner. I think they're just doing it because it's in their pipeline and it's fit their schedule. I don't see them moving forward faster because of what happened. But some of y'all are very optimistic. Stuffy, you say 2 years. I hope you're right. I wish you're right. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be quicker, unfortunately.
We'll have to see how good they are at being bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Who really knows, right? If they're bad at being bad, they'll do it really quick, and then everybody leaves.
I mean,
if they want to really milk the cow, then they'll take their time.
I mean, we can always go back to Mumble, Ventillo, TeamSpeak, all those other.
Gilded seems to be kind of the best.
It'll be smart for Gilded, right? It'll be smart for Gilded to jump on this wagon. That's who it'll be smart for.
Yeah. If Gilded can get good real fast,
that's the problem.
They could. Yeah, it's just
that's
there is no good.
Been around for like 3 years now.
They're
right?
not good. It's not.
They're not.
It's
and
not.
That's the thing. It's like there is no good competitor to Discord right now.
Yeah.
Nothing can do like Mumble's UI is garbage.
I've heard
TeamSpeak is limited.
I've heard the Revolt.chat. I've heard has been floated around as a replacement. And
I haven't heard of them yet.
And TeamSpeak does have TeamSpeak, which is now called TeamSpeak 6, which is basally Discord, but it's TeamSpeak's version of Discord.
Really? I haven't used it. Okay.
It's not good. It's just not technically there yet. They just haven't put the effort into it because it's TeamSpeak 6.
The hard part of it right now is that when you're someone in a position like myself, where all of my organization coordination and stuff is through Discord, and I grow my player base through Discord, nobody's gonna get on Gilded if I go over there or anywhere else. Everybody uses
Right,
Discord.
that's
I
the
have to use
issue.
Discord.
Yep.
I
And-
cannot move
and-
until it's trash.
And if people decide to go away from Discord, I think that's going to fragment the community. Because I mean,
It's gonna hurt
how
everybody.
you decide for everyone to go to this one platform? Because it may be good for one group, but it may not be good for another group. So yeah, that's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be bad. If it gets bad fast, it's gonna be bad.
Griffin, it's funny that you mentioned that your friends were talking about like how everyone was using their mics. I've noticed that people are using their mics on-game a lot more. Like it was used to be super quiet. Now it's like I can hear people talking more. It's like people are actually using in-game VoIP. What? You know, maybe it's because
new
VoIP is
people.
working.
We were all used to it never working, so we just never
Right.
tried.
Yeah.
New people come in, they're like, "Oh, this game has VoIP," and then they use it, right?
Yep.
I think
fair.
CIG
That's fair.
kind of CIG is a little too. I don't know if you could call it optimistic or naive with the nature of human beings.
Mhm.
They're developing a lot of their tools and stuff, assuming that people are
Not gonna
sane,
shout or not gonna shout
normal.
slurs into their
Oh my
mic. That's the moment they have a chance to if they know someone's streaming.
I haven't heard any squeakers yet. But I have met some weird people.
I remember the negative publicity they got with from the writers of the Expanse.
Expanse. Yeah, because they turned on VoIP.
Because the mic was turned on by default when you play the game, and yeah, they had to turn that off by default. So I don't. Yeah.
They got bad news. They got bad press from it because they were like, "This is spyware," and CIG was like, "Fuck," and had to turn it off after that. So,
camera, okay, camera, not mic. My bad. It was camera. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next question. So the first question, and I'm going to pause the questions now because it's been it's 15 minutes in, and holy, we have a lot. We have a lot.
A lot of questions.
And last time we couldn't even finish the amount of questions we had. So,
gosh.
So the first question is from the Darth Zoe, who asks, "Is there something we should type at the beginning of our question?" Yeah, it's just put a question in there, should be fine. Then Steve the Dancer asks, "How do you feel about the lack of knowing when/if tech is coming? Since the roadmap does not show anything about the future, and ISC is now a sales pitch for ships. The monthly report is the only thing telling us what might be coming." Here's the secret. We've never known what's going to come.
Right.
That's what I was gonna.
The roadmap was always a guess.
ISC,
Even
would you rather be kept in the dark or lied?
Yeah.
Not that they lied, it's just that they didn't know.
Yeah.
So would you rather them not know and them share their guesses, or we just guess without their input? It's kind of the same thing. I don't think
most of us here on a panel don't mind the dark.
Yeah.
I remember how much stuff used to change on the roadmap, and it just you kind of came to not trust it. Like I liked looking at the things on the roadmap and dreaming about what the game would be like when they were included, but then they would always get pushed, and it just it's nothing's really changed. I just don't get to dream as much, but now I can just play the game instead. So
yeah,
nowadays.
I mean, I remember when they used to on the roadmap have the stuff like a year out in advance. Then they took it down to 1 month or 1 quarter, and the community was up and on. But it was the community's fault because we couldn't handle stuff. It's like we promised this, and it wasn't a promise. Well,
people couldn't.
I mean, yeah, and it's like, how does it feel not knowing when if the tech is coming? The same, basically.
Yeah, there's no real
feel different.
And Steve says, "I want to know when the tech happens." I do too. I would want to know when this tech comes out, and I'm sure CIG would too. But here's the secret that you need to understand about CIG is that they are awful at keeping secrets. They rarely are able to keep a secret for longer than 3 to 6 months. And that's only if like 2 people know about it. If there's more than 2 people who know about something, which is when they start developing anything, it gets leaked quickly. if not by just by accident.
People don't read. They look at pictures, and CIG learned that if you post a picture of engineering coming online and then you put a giant in the big in letters bigger than the picture, this is tentative, it may change, and then you change it. People are gonna be like, "But my engineering, you put it on the roadmap.
You promised.
Why'd you change it?
Yeah.
Like you promised this."
promised,
And like,
exactly.
we never promised it. And they're like, "Yeah, you did. You promised it."
People see it, and
Mr. Frodo, you promised.
We've spent tons of on our shows reiterating over and over again. It's not like we're trying to be mean, but we try to get people off of that term because we've heard so many times. CIG promised, pre-CIG said, and it's like what CIG said was this is what they would like to do. That's the best way you have to look at it. This is what we would like to do. This is what we're hoping to do. This is what we're going to try to do. That's the best way to view it. And if you get it, wonderful. That means they accomplished it. But you could cut a lot of frustration down and the roadmap never bothered me. I was like you, Cepheus. I enjoyed seeing that full year and seeing what was ahead just to give me some idea of where they were going. And I always left a little bit of a clause or waiver there that said, I remember it was frustrating when a Taurus popped up and then disappeared and popped back up again and disappeared. We've seen that happen. But it doesn't. You don't need a roadmap for that. How many of us saw the 600i, the new rework, and got excited? Or the brand new Merchantman. I mean, it's a part of the development process. And I know we try to grab onto something because that grabbing onto something helps us get through this whole process of development. But you also have to keep the context and perspective of it so that you don't drive yourself crazy in the long run.
Yeah, I was going to say the big thing is that I know people don't read because the only reason why people watch my shows outside of the captain's table is because I read for them, like the monthly reports and stuff. Now I also add in my own experience because I've been reading those monthly reports every month for the last 3 years, so I have a lot more context of what they're talking about, like the fact that they changed the mass so that mass matters rather than just ship when it comes to like damage when they hit each other. That's something that CIG's been working on for 3 years. It is taken. The engine team has been trying to make that work. So there are some things that just like, oh yeah, now I get what they were actually doing. I get what they were trying to say about these things. So it also gave me more perspective on the idea that it takes CIG a long ass time to do anything. Like you say, oh well, they just need to fix this one thing. It's like this one thing is connected to this big thing.
This other thing.
That's going to take them at least 9 months for them to get to fix it.
You remember iCash?
Yeah. So when it comes to not knowing when these things, it sucks. And yes, it's the monthly reports, the only thing that's happening, but it's just ISCs were always people's default method of communication. And I've always felt like that was the bad way of doing it because people did it because they wanted to see the pretty pictures. And you can't see pretty pictures when the focus is stability. There's nothing new to show off. So
yeah.
All right. The Darth Zoe asks, what do you guys do in the verse when stability for certain game loops are non-existent?
Play the game.
Don't play the game.
Yeah. There's a couple different things. Yeah, I mean, there's always great things. I'm going to quote Serious Fun. I know you've heard him say this, Paul, before. He says, "I have 1,000 games in my treasury of sandbox of games, but I have only room for one Star Citizen." And I think that, it's great to have other games to play when Star Citizen just isn't delivering. We had a lot of people whose feelings, and understandably, were hurt this last patch when certain things got removed. Just the whole new thing with the inventory and dying, it hurt medical gameplay. And people who've been, for the last 2 or 3 years, been able to find satisfaction from medical gameplay felt like they lost something, right? But it's not the first time where something's coming to game. Those of us who are miners, mining was going good for a good while, then all of a sudden you go out there and there's nothing in the rocks, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? I've been mining for the last 2 years, and now mining doesn't work. So I think we just have to understand that those things come and go. They phase in and out. And of course, when it affects you personally with your gameplay, you feel it, because if it's not you, there's somebody else whose gameplay is being affected at some point in the game, So it just comes with the turf with this at this point to me.
I'm a smuggler, and that's my gameplay I want to play. And CIG has added and removed and added and removed and added and removed. I've been jerked around so hard that like I feel like I should have whiplash by this point. I should sue CIG for whiplash when it comes to video games.
Well, what about those of us who are
end that
explorers?
sentence?
What about people like us who are explorers who have all these exploration ships and there is
no
no
gameplay
exploration?
Yeah.
So at least some of you all have something. I mean, I've got the Aquila and the this and that with all these scanners and cartography, and that stuff has never worked. So it's just one of
At
the
least
things.
you have exploration ships. I'm still waiting on the abandoned merchantman and Endeavor. So
What
yeah.
are you talking about, Fast
That's
Car?
your mistake.
You have a Banu merchantman. Don't be complaining about this. You got Wicklow.
Oh my
right?
God! Don't do
There you
that.
go.
Don't do that. You
There
ain't
you
right.
go.
You ain't right.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, so it sucks sometimes, but like the thing is that's one of the reasons why I really want the base tech to come in, because like once you have the base tech in, then at least you can see how exploration is going to work, or smuggling or whatever, because you can see the like, oh, this is engineering, this is scanning. I can see how this is going to function. But Shibpasta asks, question, do you feel CIG needs to start getting finished ships out even if there's no gameplay for it? Cepheus?
No.
Sometimes I wish. I was just saying the abandoned merchantman and Endeavor.
We-
I mean, it
we all-
depends. Like if they put out a ship.
Cepheus, he said.
Yeah, Cepheus.
Oh, my bad.
You got him worked up on that Banu merchantman crap, Paul. See, that's what got him going. See,
But Cepheus.
We've learned our lesson here. We've had the finished ships with no gameplay. We've had the Reclaimer. We've had the 600i. We've had all the exploration ships. It's the people that have been super excited. If you got your Banu merchantman, you're gonna enjoy that for like a week, 2 weeks. Realize that there's nothing else you could do with it now, and then okay, CIG, where's my gameplay? And they're like, we told you it wasn't ready, but you didn't listen. I want the big shiny. I want my Genesis Starliner that I didn't play, but I want one. And what would I do with it? Transport the 11 people in my org that are online at a given time? No. So it's they need to get this gameplay, or at least a purpose for a ship to exist before they publish it, because otherwise they're just bloating the verse with stuff, and ships lose their meaning if they have nothing to do.
But that's the smart, rational side to it. I'm going to give you the smart consumer side of it. I paid for it.
I want it.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
They put out 8 other ships that came out after mine, and how come theirs came out and I'm waiting and my money's sitting on the table? So I agree with what you're saying, but I'm saying that consumer side is the other half of the brain that kicks in, that people want it. And even if it's going to be nothing but a cargo ship, if Banu, if it's my Endeavor and all I can do is put boxes in it.
And that's always been my problem with the long-term concept ships. I won't pledge for a ship if it's not at least in production, like coming soon. I'm not even pledging a Perseus, and that thing's coming probably IAE maybe. I really want a Kraken. I'm not pledging it until it's like we're getting ISCs about it. Like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I would encourage anybody else to do the thing. Don't pledge a concept ship unless you are like super committed to that ship. Just wait for it to be like at least on the horizon. Do the last chance to get it before the price goes up sale. Do that one, right? Don't get it initial concept unless
or
you
just get a CCU.
Right. Exactly. Get a CCU, and then you can melt it if it takes forever. Or it's like
it's usually like
$5-10
to get that. Yes, that's
exactly.
That's what we do, and we always say in the info runners is like the reason why the Endeavor is such a good deal is because the base Endeavor is expensive, but holy balls, it has the potential to be one of the most impressive ships in the verse, and you can get it for $5. And by that we mean just
$10. Yeah.
CCU for something else.
Genesis.
Gemini to Endeavor.
Gemini to Endeavor. It's $10. Yeah, so it's $10, and it's like $10 is a lot of money.
I know this, Paul. I know.
the $10 is a lot of money, but is it really that much money? In comparison to other things, and it's something that you can easily just turn into ship skins if you really wanted to. Like it's a lot of.
I do want to touch. Captain Cataphract in chat said, when you pledge on concept, it's cheaper. There are probably a good number of ships where if you pledged first concept versus when they eventually release, it will probably be cheaper on release just on order of inflation.
Yeah.
So not always.
And it really depends, because generally speaking, we're not seeing like what happened with the Perseus and the Polaris and the Merchantman. Those of us original Merchantman owners know we bought our original Merchantman for $250. It's like $800, $900 now or whatever. It's
and that's just
super
gambling,
expensive.
though.
That's gambling.
I want to
Yeah.
Fastcart and I didn't buy the Merchantman at $250, being like, it's going to be $800 in the future. We did it because we wanted to, you know.
People are gambling with the Endeavor even today.
Yeah.
And I hope that it goes the same way, but it might not.
Even if it doesn't go the same
way, we're not financial investors.
It's not financial advice.
This is not financial advice
from us. But the Gemini 2 Crucible is another good buy in my opinion. That's also $10.
And the $10 are nice. That's really what CCU should be seen more as. It's just sort of I like this ship and I want to make sure I can get it in at the price that's right now, but I don't have the money or I don't want to spend that money. Spending $10 to guarantee you get it at a cheaper price is fine. And if you don't get it at a cheaper price, then you just have $10 towards the thing you're going to get anyways. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, CCUs are the way.
Yeah.
CCUs are the way for sure.
And to get my answer, I wouldn't want CIG to put out a ship that's incomplete, and then they would have to spend more time or more production time to make the ship complete. So when they put out the Merchantman, when they put out the Endeavor, whenever that time is, I want it to be complete. So I'm okay with waiting, but maybe as time goes on, there are fewer people like me and more people who are like, I want it now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shiny is shiny, but shiny might not be useful.
Griffin, do you have any other thing to add? Because I think you already kind of jumped on this already. So
yeah, no, I'm good.
So Steve That Answer asks, we can expect that there will not be an EPTU for tech until after Invictus. What tech do you want to see come after Invictus?
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. But like the two big ones for me, scanning and engineering. Those two, I think, are the most important tech in the entire game.
Yeah.
Hands down, the most important features for the game. Without those two features...
If we're talking strictly tech, obviously dynamic meshing is exciting for whenever they start doing that. But if it's like features / tech, it's for me, it's engineering and base building.
I think
and crafting and all the other constituents.
I think base building and crafting are important, but without engineering, base building doesn't work. And
true,
same with like scanning. And scanning is so important to so many different parts of like the game that it's like you need scanning to be able to locate resources so you can figure out where you want to put your bases and all that sort of thing. So like those are the two fundamental things which will change because people aren't ready for what CIG has even hinted at for scanning. Scanning is going to be a far more complex feature than it is now and is going to require a dedicated scanner operator, you know, doing the sweeps and bleeps and boops and all that kind of stuff. Like almost like a radar operator who can actually identify what's going on around you.
You think they'll implement the golf swing mechanic finally for scanning? No, I'm kidding.
I mean, they kind of already have, but no, I expect them based off what they're talking about is you're gonna have to filter out noise. So like one of the big things is being able to tell the delta signatures, the changes in signatures of each ship, and then being able to filter out in long range what is a ship and what is an asteroid and what type of ship and that kind of stuff. That's going to be part of the whole gameplay package.
Oh boy, that's got to be even more reason for people to yell at other people to turn off their voice comms. Say, I can't hear anything. I'm trying to filter out that noise. Yeah. Be quiet.
By noise, I mean like visual noise. You know, like distortion. Griffin, your thoughts? What are you looking forward to with tech and?
Yeah, I think engineering, the one you hit on, was one that really resonated with me. I know we've been anticipating it. We got a little taste of it in the. Arena Commander with the M2, and we're going on all our ships now. We see where there are fuse locations and things like that. So to me, the way they've designed or the way they've described engineering is going to bring another level of complexity to the game. I want them to make sure that complexity is balanced enough, and it seems like it is, where they said only certain ships will have the more in-depth aspects of engineering. But the other thing that I would say, Paul, you mentioned scanning. We've got those few other areas on ships that haven't been completely filled out yet. There's areas for radar. There's areas for batteries. Those other component areas that are on ships, I would love to see start to become active too, where they're important to the game. I'd even like to see things like, and I know people are going to get mad when I say this, even the batteries that are in the handheld tractor beams and the repair tools. I mean, things like that where consumables start to be meaningful so that there's some type of economic spending where we don't have these things that you can just do. And we've seen it in ammo already, but I would love to see these things start to build toward an economy a little bit more, where we're conscious about the money that we're making, even though there's money being made ridiculous amounts right now. So those are the kind of areas that I'd like to see. Ooh, somebody said gravity and oxygen. Yes, vacuum, gravity and oxygen. Yes, absolutely.
Let me space
absolutely.
people.
That's kind of with
Yes.
engineering too. That's sort of
Yes.
like part of engineering. Like I think a lot of people don't realize that engineering is fire. It's the solar flares and pyro.
Yeah.
It's oxygen and different like atmosphere levels and ships. It's all of those things. And the last month report, they were very detailed and they have completely overhauled the UI for it significantly compared to what we're
I don't
used
think
to.
they're gonna the thing that they originally talked about, where they were initially gonna roll out engineering on like 3 or 4 ships. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think it's just gonna be every single ship now, which I think is the better way to do it. But I think that's definitely part of their plan now. I mean, my thing with engineering versus base building is that engineering is going to completely change how we play the game. But I don't think any single feature is going to be better for player retention than base building.
Yes.
I'm excited for both, but nothing is going to keep like every org more active than base building.
Yeah, that carrot, that's a hell of a carrot. I want to build my base. I want to build my base. If CIG can make that grind just
right.
Yeah, it can't be too short because then people just hit the dopamine and leave. It can't be too long because then people will give up. So it has to be just between the it's taking forever and that took no time at all for it to really fit. Mascot, what tech are you looking for?
I'm still stuck on the fact that you said they got to get that grind just right.
You know it.
Anyway, to answer the question I asked is like, what tech do you want to see come on down after Invictus? What I want to see is crafting, but you know, everyone here gave better answer than what should be coming. So, yeah, what I want to see is crafting.
Okay. All right. Next question comes from Pasta, who asks, with this year's stability and funding records, do you feel that new players are excited, but the old guard of Star Citizen are disenfranchised?
Say it one more time.
With this year's stability and funding records, do you feel that new players are excited, but the old guard of Star Citizen are disenfranchised? I would say no, mostly because I think what this has done is brought back old players who stopped playing Star Citizen.
If you were part of the OG backers and you can't be excited for what Star Citizen is doing today, you either misunderstood the intent of the game or you couldn't adapt to the changes the game. I don't think you're maybe not you don't want what Star Citizen is today, which is fine. But because the OG backers did back a different game from what Star Citizen is now, what it's becoming. But there are those who have embraced the new way, and those who have been like, "Well, I wanted my game in 2016 that we can't land on planets." Go play Elite Dangerous.
Starfield's great.
Go play Starfield. Yeah. Go play Elite Dangerous. Go play No Man's Sky. Let us keep our bleeding edge game.
Well, I think the big thing is, based off of what we can see, and someone says if you believe CIG's numbers. I mean, if you don't believe CIG's numbers, then anything is possible. Chris Roberts is actually the president of the United States. Like it doesn't matter. He is the Illuminati. Like you're gonna have to start at some point. If you're just saying the CIG's lying, then it's like, okay, cool. then
I
anything is
think
possible.
Hold on. I need to find some tinfoil. I'll be right
Yeah.
back.
I think CIG does recognize the value of the goodwill of the players, because
Mhm.
there have been times where they've heard it. They have hurt the goodwill of the players, and they've felt and it seems like they have genuinely aimed to make changes after that's happened.
Mhm.
So
Well-
I think they're cognizant of that. They're not going to just straight up lie to us. A lot of people will say, "Oh, well, CIG lied," when just something didn't work out how they wanted it to,
Yeah.
which is different from lying. I haven't really known CIG to straight up lie to us.
I will say, I think CIG gaslights people more often than they realize.
CIG or marketing?
CIG, management at CIG.
Yeah.
You know, Chris, Aaron, other members of management. I've yet to see if Benoit is doing it, but usually the beginning of every year, one of the managers gets trotted out and they try to like defend a decision, and they usually explain it as like, it's going to make the game better. We're going to be able to develop things faster. And it's like, that decision wasn't made with that in mind. It was designed with something completely different in mind, which if you look at how CIG functions, you can see like, what was it called? Staggered development. Like when Aaron Roberts came out and announced staggered development, he said specifically, this will improve the speed at which patches are released. And it did, but that's not the reason why it was originally pitched. It was originally pitched because CIG was burning the fuck out every 3 months. And so instead of basically having constant crunch, they extended the development period to 6 to 9 months for each of their teams, and then staggered those teams in a way that they could release content. But it actually slowed development down initially because they had to get used to that system. And once they got that system out, then it became easier for them to constantly produce stuff. But I feel like for whatever reason, Aaron or whoever was or the team, whoever was trying to created that message, was creating that message specifically as a way of being like, they won't understand the shit we're just saying, so we're just going to say it's going to improve performance or development because it will eventually. But it did.
She's probably right. She's
know.
probably right though. In her way of thinking, she's right.
Aaron. Aaron Roberts.
He's right.
He's probably
like that's correct. People are dumb. Like the collective whole, like there will always be so many people that misinterpret things, and don't understand. You have to put things in the simplest, most appealing way possible. That's just how it goes, you know. And when stuff's not going right when I'm flying, I don't tell the passenger, "Hey, shit's broke. We're going to be here for a few minutes."
Yeah.
I say, "Hey, we've got a minor technical issue. We're going to we're getting it fixed." You know, it's right. You got to kind of cater it to the public. You got to know your audience.
Yeah.
And you know, we can disagree with it, but I get it. I know why it's there, why it's done.
And I understand it, but I like that's the kind of thing. And what happens is you have somebody who sees that and then sees the result is actually wrong, and then you have these lists, these videos that come up of them saying something and then being like, see, this is the long list of CIG lying without any context of when those videos were taken, what they were talking about.
It can backfire for sure.
And it can backfire into this CIG just lies every 5 minutes and that kind of stuff. So, but with that being said, even if you look at CIG's numbers, the new signups for Star Citizen have disappeared. We've actually been on a downward trend of new backer signups, new accounts since even 2023. 2023 was the biggest year of CIG in terms of funding, and it was worse than 2022 in terms of new backers coming in, new accounts. And it's been a steady decline since then. This year, worse than last year. However, the funding is up. So what's going on? We're not seeing new people joining into the game as much, but we are seeing more people buying stuff. So in my mind, that means CIG is retaining or we're getting return backers and players who are coming back to the game now that 4.0 is out and are like there for the stability and stuff like that. So I don't, that's as a result, I don't think we're seeing a situation where we have new players are being happy and the old players are unhappy. It's just players are being happy. And then some people are grizzled and angry at other things rather than just the fact that what's going on. So, all right. Next question from Shadowstalker, who asks, do you think, do the captains think CIG should open the Pandora's box of courting the furry community with things like cat and wolf ears and tails as player customization options for a taste of that segment of the internet's suspicious wealth? Okay, so this was a topic I talked about on Thursday in my office hours on the Astropub YouTube channel. I've joked about this in the past, but I sincerely believe if you look at most MMOs, now most MMOs are like fantasy MMOs, but a lot of them will have some sort of customization in that direction. And every time they introduce a customization in that direction, their funding goes through the roof. So, like,
I really think that you're right.
You make a character customization where you can replace the ears with cat ears. You will guarantee see a huge volume of new signups because someone's going to make a funny meme on it on TikTok, and people are going to be like, "This game you can make cat girls," and immediately people will buy the game just for that purpose alone. Final Fantasy XIV exists partially because it was really well saved by its developers, but also because you can be a cat girl. That's the one of the main appeals of it even today. So
Halo Infinite has cat ears now.
Yeah.
Like I hate it, but you're completely right.
Yeah.
Like that's how it is.
And you can see it. Hoyoverse, which is famous for their thirsty fan base, has been moving in that direction with every one of their new games they've released, to the point where they just straight up have furries in their latest game. And it's fucking killing everything. Like in terms of money, like they're making so much money off of it. Like
we have the Star Kitten armor. That's,
we do.
I was just about to say that's what I'm trying to get to.
Forgot about that.
They put out the Star Kitten armor, and I don't know how much money that CIG made. They keep it specific. They don't tell us.
They don't talk about this.
I put it that way, but they made money. That they made money.
They could add more Star Kitten stuff, and I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
Like I would love to see the metrics of exactly how much money anything branded Star Kitten has made them.
I'm sure a lot of people also like it just because it's also branded as, like, you know, Hello Kitty, and some people like buy it for the memes, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. If the CIG did those customizations, even if it was just for the memes, people would do it for the memes, and then it would also it's sort of this weird ball of how the internet functions and how people's psychology work. So
people will buy anything.
Looking forward to
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm looking forward to the point where go ahead.
No, go fast, Clark. You're saying go ahead.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to the point when CIG introduces patch. I think that'll be not a game changer, but a money maker for CIG when they introduce patch.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's also true. All right. Next question comes from Dell, who asks, is it too early to add flight blades? Ship balance is already a struggle before adding in further modifiers to stats. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
Go ahead and say it.
Break shit and move fast. All right, move fast and break shit. That's what you got to do. And flight blades is move in the direction of engineering. So not too early. Let's just go. You know.
Yeah. It's one of those things. When is there ever actually a good time to introduce anything that's going to be something that's going to break stuff? So
yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, yeah. I mean, we don't work for the company. I don't. No. You know, it's very difficult to talk about what CIG should and shouldn't do, because for us, unfortunately, all we have is what we have in our hands. We don't know what's scheduled for a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, even 5 years from now. So, you know, there's a factor of just saying we have to hope that they're doing the right thing and making the right decisions. And that's all you got. Now, I hate to say it. I wish we had more to give you, but that's it. You know, I know people were thinking the AI blades were going to be the big thing, and we were telling people, not yet, not yet, not yet. And they wouldn't clarify what this is. It's coming out. But this is just step one in the right direction, like you said, Paul, to enhance engineering and take things a little further. So give them the room to start with this and progress further, you know?
Hold on a
I
minute.
don't even
Let
really
me
know
call
what they're
Chris
gonna-
Roberts and see what he got to say. So hold on.
Mhm.
Hey, Chris, it's Fast Card. Yeah, how you doing? I'm on Captain Table right now. Yeah, okay. Chris Roberts says hi, everybody.
Hi,
So we want to
Chris.
know, what do you have planned in 5 years? Huh? Huh? All right. Thank you. Talk to you later. You can't tell us anything.
I was gonna say how many hookers and what's the size of the yacht in 5 years is the
You're right. Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, I think it's fine. If the ironic part, the content creator in me is going, CIG should do it just because people will complain about it, which means they'll make videos about it, which means they'll get attention for it.
I want a flight blade that gives me like FA off from Elite.
Yeah,
Like
that's kind of what
completely manual flying.
that is literally what they talked about in the monthly reports, was that they wanted to basically turn off IFCS. That's what the flight blades are for.
Mhm.
Is they're going to let
Mhm.
you
I
want it
basically
so
turn it
bad.
off.
Yeah.
I want manual. I want manual flight. Let me start flying these things like real planes.
Mhm.
All right. Next question comes from Shimpasta, who asks, "Do you feel CIG should work on dynamic server meshing after this year of stability?"
They can walk and chew gum.
Yeah.
Mm.
They can walk and chew
Can they
gum.
though?
That's
Can they?
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
It seems.
Because
think
I
the
mean,
team-
sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. It depends on what the topic is. For this one, probably yes, in my opinion.
Well, I think the first mistake is thinking that they're not working on dynamic. That's the first thing.
Oh, yeah.
They've been
Mhm.
working on it. So I hate to tell you, but it's already happening. So
Well, you don't hate to tell me. Don't lie to me.
no, I'm just saying it's
I'm
already
messing with you.
happening. You know, the dynamic thing is something that they know they have, and that's a huge hurdle. I mean, the static is one thing, but the dynamic's another, based upon what they said they would like to do. It would be a groundbreaking achievement. Now, I'm not talking about dynamic server meshing. I'm talking about the way they want to do dynamic server meshing is pretty out there.
Mhm.
So they need to work on it. We can't wait for that. That's something's taking years for them to move toward. So
Yeah. And CIG
yeah.
seemed that like Benoit and his team seemed to be very confident that they could probably get dynamic meshing out soon after static meshing. So, in fact, at one point they just said that we didn't want to do static; we just wanted to jump to dynamic. But
right.
we know we need to do these steps because there's more to just jumping dynamic, and that's what they're doing right now. Is that onion, the shit onion that they're peeling, that they're being like finding all the bad parts and cleaning out the wound and then replacing and then going through that part to just figure out what's wrong in the back end. And I'm sure while those people are doing that, other people are setting up the dynamic, because for those who don't know what dynamic meshing is, right now they have to manually place the servers in places where they think there's going to be high levels of traffic. So instead of it sort of dynamically moving where the server is, it's sort of specifically placed by them through testing. And what Dynamic 1 is they still have these zones that they create, but it'll just dynamically shift based off of population numbers of where those will be.
Spin up and down.
But it's just where those locations are. It's going to be still going to be a static location, but it's dynamically switching where those servers are in terms of size or like in terms of scope. And then Dynamic 2 is allowing for that to not be a rigid boundary, but like a fluid boundary of where the size of that is. So it can be as small as like a room, or even like a portion of a room. But Dynamic 1 is the big one because that'll save them money because they don't have to use as many servers at any given time, but can just sort of swap those servers around. They'll still have like 10 servers per mesh, but that mesh can then dynamically swap, which means they can increase the number of players per mesh because they can have dynamics to it. So, Pete says right. Static mesh is devs defining the zones. Dynamic is a server defining that boundary based on the load.
Support Pete. Yep, you get it.
Yeah, load balancing. It's all it is, and as Dell has pointed out, and other people point out, it's a financial thing. They have to do it because it's going to allow them to increase the number of players. If they have the number of players increased, then they can run less servers for the same number for more players, and that's the key. Long term, that's the key. Do you have anything else to add, Cepheus?
Nope, think y'all covered it.
All right. So you'll get the next one then. Steve the Dancer asks, do you feel when a new major tech is released that they will do a wipe?
No, unless that new major tech involves some sort of major economic upheaval that would necessitate it. If they bring engineering online, nah. Unless something gets borked, they're not going to do a wipe. They bring base building online, nah. Unless something gets borked along the way. Now, if they completely redo the economy, okay, maybe.
Mhm.
But I have a feeling CIG really doesn't want to do another wipe until like one.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
kind of how it feels. It's like that's their intent as of now.
Yeah.
Plans may change, but that is, to me, it feels like with all their stability focus, they're like, all right, your progression is your progression. We'll wipe you again when we drop the A from the UEC, and then go forth and prosper.
And you can also think about this in terms of what they've been adding, like the whole chit that's in 4.11. So chits are just they're a currency you can't purchase. So it's a currency that you get for actions. You can loot them, but it's currency you can use to get other things. And it's clear that CIG is doing that because they have no control over UEC, and they know that people just have millions of UEC. So they just invented a new system so that if you really want the good stuff, you can't buy it with cash. You have to go get it with this chit system. So you have to go bind them. So you have to actually play. So you can't just sit there and grind a million UEC with glitches. You have to actually get these items. So. Griff, your thoughts? Do you think we're going to see wipes with tech releases?
No, I agree. It'll only be if there is some major exploit or something that involves the money. Other than that, there's no need. People are having fun with it, yeah, no need. I ignore money, to be honest with you. And what I mean by that is, what I make. I don't go in with the goal of I'm going to make 20 million within the next blah, 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 so it's because I've just learned over time that, it's all monopoly money anyway right now. So you get what you need to do what you have to do in the game. And after that wipe comes, it comes. So
I tell my people they can focus on money once it's just UAC.
Yeah.
Once there are definitely no more wipes. Until then, just have fun, man.
Yeah, just have fun. Yeah.
Baskart, anything to add?
I'm going to go a different avenue here. If there's a database issue, or if they have to change the database or want to test the database, because the amount of people that we have playing now, they're looking for like an order of magnitude or maybe more than that to come in when 1.0 comes out. So they want to know how the database and the servers and everything will run before that. So I can see them doing some technical stuff between now and then to test that somehow.
They
So
definitely
database issues, they may have to do a wipe for that.
Speaking of that, they definitely going to have to increase the infrastructure because the infrastructure sucks right now. Like, if you want 500 people on a planet, there better be like 250 different like hangars you can get to, or some level of that, because holy hell, it's bad.
And I'm not an IT expert, so I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Base building is going to take a lot of pressure off their main cities, I think, as far as like hangars and stuff. They still need to expand it, but I think base building, everybody's just going to go to the base.
Yeah. But I mean, you still got events like Invictus and IAE, which people will show up in places, so you need some sort of.
Sure.
What they need to do is open up those penthouses so I can get my apartment. That's what they need to be doing.
I also think that's also another thing is once they have the dynamic interiors where you can actually just land on a. You're like, oh, it's an area team. I'll get an apartment at area team.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to go to my apartment building and land and park my ship in my apartment. And then I'll go to area team,
Yep.
Yeah, but the point being is that I would expect more wipes. I don't think between now and 1.0 there won't be any more wipes. No, there definitely will be. The question is how many. I'll say between three and 5.
Ooh,
Be a compromise.
bold prediction there from Fast Car. We will see 3
between 0 and 100.
we will see exactly 4 wipes between now and 1.0, is what Fast Car just said. And what was that, Fast Car? Something about like you promised them, a Banu Merchantman if they if you're wrong. With Banu Merchantman.
Hold on, let me call Chris Roberts again. No.
All right, Escape asks, how do you guys feel about PDCs targeting ships? Does it not spoil solo players pilots excessively? Fast Car?
No idea. How do I feel about PDCs targeting ships? Like the
remote system it was originally designed to intercept missiles and torpedoes, but now they can actually target small ships as well, or other ships as well.
That does not spoil solo Polaris. I'm not into Polaris. I can't really answer to that one, so I can't say.
Griffin?
So the latter part of that question was, does it spoil what now?
Does it spoil solo Polaris? Basically, is it making
solo play, or did you say solo Polaris? I couldn't hear.
Solo player Polaris. So basically, when somebody is only one person's using a Polaris, they can basically let their PDCs.
Yeah, I mean that's just again. Okay, I'm take a deep breath. Again, that's just for now.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't balanced. Just like the problem with PDC shooting people in your own squadron is just a thing, right? Eventually the tech will be there where the PDCs will only go after your enemies. And if you accidentally shoot your own guy's ship, you get attacked. That's going to go away. And so will this other thing we're talking about. So for now, does it spoil a solo person flying a multi-crew ship trying to play solo in a multi-crew ship? That's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I get it. I know that's what you would like to do, but it's going to change later. But a Polaris is not a solo ship, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
in case
we were this close from getting
do the dance. To do his dance.
It's not I am. I'm holding myself down this time. I'm holding myself down this time, but it's not a solo ship. And I know that we've been able to do solo things in big ships, but have the fun when you can, but eventually it's all going to change and you're going to need a crew on there to help you out. So that's just the way it is. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, engineering is a quick answer. You're not going to be able to power all of your guns at the same time.
Yeah.
Like CIGs that's the one thing I think everyone's going to have to just have your come to Jesus moment right now. Have a sit down and think. Your power plants will not be able to power every part of your ship all the time. You can have full shields, but then you're going to have less guns. You can have full thrusters, but you're going to have less shields. You're going to have to start sacrificing something on that power tree because there is no way you're going to be able to max that out. Even with really good power plants and everything else, there'll be some sort of bottleneck because that's a game design intention. Yeah. And I know
unless you buy a power plant from Fast Car's Buddy Mercerman, because I guarantee you know.
But I mean, that's where crafting is going to come in. Where like you can get better versions of that with crafting and better, but it will never be perfect. And that's the whole point. It's like, I know people are like, but my immersion. It's like, but video game. Like that's the point of video games. Like your car can't support all of the electronics on your going off at once at the same time. Because your car is not built your battery is not built to handle those sorts of things. So it will hurt your battery, if not destroy your battery. Yes. Well,
Paul, I will tell you one thing. My car can handle anything I put it through. Okay, that's my car.
But if you try to charge your smartphone off of your cart while driving the cart and also plugging a fan into your cart while running the car off the cart, it would drain that battery real quick.
Why would I need a fan? I'm going so fast, I'm keeping cool anyway.
Yeah. Can I say something too, real quick, Paul?
Go for it.
I think that it's something for us to all kind of remember too, because I know I have to remind myself of this with the question about the Polaris. And I know the person wasn't asking this on their benefit, but they're asking because people are able to go out and solo with the Polaris, and it does make it frustrating to a certain degree. Because when you're, people just take a Polaris, like I watch people take the Polaris to what's the thing called, the mining thing, Hathor. And they're like Polarises out there in the atmosphere above Hathor. And I'm looking at it, and in my brain, it's like, okay, this doesn't make sense, but I know why people are doing it in the game. And people are having fun with it and whatnot. But to your point, I think that there's what CIG says they want the game to do later, what they want the game to be, and what the game will end up being later on. And you were just talking about like power management, the importance of that, and what will be the trade-offs when you're doing things in the game. We don't see enough of that there right now to make us feel that that's a reality. So, it seems like that person has the upper edge with all the PDCs and stuff, but there are going to be other things that will introduce in the game that will make it where making a choice like that is going to be costly to the person with those PDCs or whatever. So, it's frustrating a little bit because, the CIG says this, but it's not there. And if you don't know, and I'm not saying this in any negative way, there's so much information that CIG has dumped over freaking 10 years. Trying to know exactly what stuff's supposed to happen in this game sometimes can kind of get lost in that whole mishmash of information. And then stuff changes. Stuff just, they say it, but then later on it's something different. So I just want to encourage people that, if something seems kind of off balance, the game is just off balanced. Don't look for balance in an off-balanced alpha, that's not anywhere near where it's supposed to be. I know we like to get the balance, but sometimes it's just not there.
To answer this specific question, I've done a lot of Polaris flying through my various operations in Hathor, most of the time fully crewed, sometimes multiple Polarises. Those PDCs will shoot at anything. It could be a party member. They don't have to be red. They don't have to have touched you. It does not matter. If somebody flew near me, my PDCs would be lighting that guy up.
Really?
I found a key to turn off the Polaris's weapons.
Oh, we do that all the time.
Stop lighting up my friends.
We had to do that for operations. For operations, if we pull out a Polaris, it's like we have to turn off the PDCs because if we have any support immediately, it just shoots everything. So
what I learned is that those guns don't do much damage
unless you're in a fighter.
You are even in a fighter. I had players in Arrows and Gladiuses and Avengers, and unless they just like sat there like, I think I'm being shot, then like if you just, I'm being shot, I'm gonna leave now, you're fine. It might get your shields down. They're not like, if you're a solo player in a Polaris, you're not killing anything with those PDCs. Not if they don't sit there and let you. They're not really a threat. Your size 3 missiles you have access to as the pilot are more powerful than your people.
And Paul, just to let you know,
Go ahead.
Just to let you know, my next card will have USB port. So yeah, that'll be a thing.
We triggered Kusanagi with this discussion. Shampasa asks, after this year of stability, should CIG focus on getting all the features out, even in tier 0 state, and then start balancing the game?
Ooh.
I mean, I've said yes, but it's a situation like Griffin said. You can walk and chew gum. Like, the people building the features are not the same. Zach is not the same person as, we're trying to think off the top of my head, who's actually, because Zach is more in the balance sort of side of things, and that sort of, using the features as gameplay versus someone like
Elliot,
or I'm trying to think of the guy who does he's a big VR person, and he does a lot of the stuff for Vulcan and the engine stuff. The engine
like the guy who does the hair and do all the stuff. And
the digital hairstylist is not the same person. Like he can focus on making hair, and somebody else can focus on making sure that hair doesn't like clip through the spacesuits and cause problems. So, all right. Any other your thoughts, Cepheus, on this? Do you think CIG should focus on getting all the features out and then balance?
I mean, that's like, no, because they can't. They're running a live service game. They can't just, all right, let's take 2 years to publish all of these features and then we'll balance. Like, no, they've never been able to do that. They can't, unless they dump every remaining feature in one patch, which will never happen. They can't do that. It's going to be feature balance, feature balance, feature balance. That's the way of things. It always has been. Ever since this game has been in a state since like whatever the patch where we got persistent inventory. or like inventory that wasn't just a magical bag of holding. Ever since then, it's always been feature balance, feature balance, feature balance.
Griff?
I think that they should dump everything. No. No, not to be funny. If somebody's not gonna, if you dump all the features and they're not working, then people will be complaining about that.
Yeah.
So
Wanna
I
break
think
other
it's the old adage of how do you eat an elephant? You know, one bite at a time. And this is an elephant. I mean, this is like a woolly mammoth, right? I mean, it's going to be just over
That's a lot of
time.
hair.
As much as I would love to see so many features in, I would love to see certain features in the game, certain careers come in. I'm something as simple as farming. I want to see farming, you know, but it ain't time. You know, it's not time. It's not there yet. I would love to see dynamic weather. I want to see rainstorms pop in out of nowhere, fog or low visibility where you got to use
Sandstorms,
vehicles, sandstorms. Oh my God, we saw sandstorms in 2016. You know,
Oh my
I
God,
would
yeah,
love
we
to
did.
see it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just not time. You know, and it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong, it is frustrating, but you know, it's got to happen in a certain order.
Fast car? Should they just
You should know, y'all should know better than to say dump around me. I don't know why you keep repeating that word.
To be fair, it's like Shimpasta, so he's intentionally trying to trigger you the entire time. So
Okay, all right.
all right. Now, next question comes from Tagram Unlimited, who says, with all the quality of life going on, will CIG finally rework the Reclaimer in the 1.1.x patch coming soon? Absolutely not.
4.1.
No.
No, absolutely not. CIG.
And I
all right,
agree. No.
Here's the thing. Would I love to see the Reclaimer interior be completely worked to the ship that it actually is designed to be now? Yes. Same thing for the Starfarer, the Freelancer, the Connie. So many of those early ships which were built with interiors before the interior game was really understood. Yes, I'd love to see those. But there's absolutely no evidence that CIG is working on those at all. CIG is basically like, does it work in game? Mark it off and move on. Like, we're not quite to that point yet. We have seen some improvements, like the Carrack and the Caterpillar and all of those sorts of small additions. The Raft, a great example. So there may be a team at CIG and the CIG ship team who's just dedicated to try to fix these problems. But it's like, if it is, it's one team of like 3 people. And there's a lot of ships to go through. So
yeah, I was gonna say the people who are waiting for the 600i gold standard may have a word, like a word for
yeah,
probably. So
that's another great example. Like, people have been waiting for that forever. It's like it's like, that's probably more extensive than anything else. But Cepheus?
I think more realistically, I think what they might do in the nearer term with the Reclaimer is remove some of the random bullshit props that are inside the thing, the hooks in the cargo rooms that like get in the way of you moving your boxes. Make the rear elevator just a little bit bigger. Maybe give it a freaking grid. You know, little things they could do that wouldn't require that much development time. That would make the Polaris a much better, or the Reclaimer a much better experience. A full Reclaimer rework is definitely down the road. But there's little things they could.
Griffin? We getting a full,
you hit me in the
overhaul?
heart with the Reclaimer. Yeah, you hit me in the heart with the Reclaimer because I love the ship, and you know, there's a lot of improvements they want to do. I mean, even something as simple as the relocation of the that rear pylon with the docking collar, so that the Reclaimers could, you know, land at be at stations and stuff. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Unfortunately, needs to be done, but I don't know.
I mean, a related question would be: do you think the Reclaimer owners who currently have the Reclaimer, would they have been willing to say, wait? Let's say that the Reclaimer hadn't come out. Do you think they would be happy if it were to come out later with all the final rework that it should have, as opposed to when it did come out?
Yeah, the Reclaimer was the first cap, wasn't it, that we actually got? Wasn't it the first one? So that was the testing ground for them. That was the testing ground for them.
The Reclaimer was the
It
first.
had to happen.
Yeah,
They had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, if it wasn't that ship, it'd have been some other ship. So, And salvage took forever to come out, but there are people who can take the reclaimer out and do things with it right now, irregardless of the rework, and that people find satisfaction in it. So I don't feel like people are that. I know they know a rework is coming, but I don't know if it's made people feel a certain kind of way, to be honest with you. It works better than some other ships, that's for sure. Drone room may not work and stuff, but it works.
Cool. It's in the game, unlike other ships.
It's functional.
Yep.
It's functional but frustrating.
Yep.
I mean, think about it like this: like the Orion. Mining's been in the game for a long time. The Orion's nowhere near anytime soon. I'm sure people like that. All right, Grexkin asks, with base building coming, do you feel that being able to make user-created map markers is needed first so you can find your base on the map? I mean, that's part of... Didn't they already show that off multiple times in the past, where you can create like a map marker and then...
And yeah, that was in Citizen Con the last time.
Yeah.
I thought Citizen Con made it look like it was coming soon, PM.
Yeah.
But I guess it's still not out yet.
It was bugged or something, wasn't it? They were working on it on the map.
I think it was waiting for server meshing, because it's one of those things where it's like, if you put it on the map and it's in a different server, how does that server know that you put that marker on the map?
Right.
So I think because it was definitely a Squadron thing, and I don't think you need to worry about that in Squadron as much. So, but I agree. But I think that's also scanning. That's part of the scanning system, the FPS scanning system, and maybe even the quantum system. All right. Next question comes from Alien Anderson, who asks, what do you think how planetary shield technology will work gameplay-wise? And could it be a solution for needing ground gameplay with vehicles? Yes. Both of those are yes. You answered your own question. We already know how planetary shielding works. You can't attack a place that's shielded with planetary planetary shield. It literally will make them invulnerable. You won't be able to attack those bases with the planetary shield. So it basically is an invincibility shield. So yeah, it would make ground warfare more engaging, because even though the shield's up and you can't destroy the vehicles or you can destroy the ship, you might be able to get into vehicles and attack them and stuff like that. So.
But do you think there'll be a way to maybe hack the planetary shield so they can make it go down, or maybe hack the planet?
Hack the planet.
Get the generators the next cycle.
Yeah,
because it'll be continuous. They have to earn it every cycle.
Yeah.
Well, remember Empire shielding when they did it. Remember, it wasn't that the entire planet. I mean, we've seen it both ways, right? Where the entire planet is shielded, or when there are generators that cover a large area that force you to have to come down, and then you have to like you said, penetrate from the ground area. But which to me is the better thing to do, because that way people who are building bases and stuff, or unless it's UEE. Now, if it's UEE, that's a whole other thing. But you can have where you've got generators or power things that run these things, and then people have to come in and disable them in order to get to them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I fully expect Hoth to be the
like Hoth. Yep, like Hoth. Yeah,
and I expect that the buildings will be impenetrable from spaceships, and I expect something. I also expect something to the degree of BS, like you try to fly through a shield with a ship, you just knock your ship out and destroy it. It'll bounce off, because that's, again, it's a balancing thing. Is it realistic? Probably not, but it's a matter of protecting ships, like these places, from attack. So yeah, we'll see. Shrimpasta asks, have to be at the beginning of... Oh, okay, no. Question. No, it's different. Coffee Gaming asks, if CIG were to put out a major patch, that what would Star Citizen Alpha 5.0 include? Cepheus?
Nobody wants to hear about a 5.0.
If they do a 5.0, I will build my own Gladius and fly it to Manchester. And Kelsey and ring CID and they've said, I think they've said, I could be wrong, 4.0 is the last X dot. It's 4.0 to 4 35 or whatever it's going to be, and then
Exactly.
we get 1.0 or beta or whatever the hell
Yeah.
it is. Something.
Mm.
If they're doing a 5.0, shit's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If they're doing a 5.0, it'll be Star Citizen Release 5.0, and that'll be
or it'll be beta
Yeah.
5.0.
You know.
Or something.
No, I was just about to say if they were to go through the 4 point whatever stage and then to say, okay, for 5.0 this is the beta before 1.0. I'd be okay
that
with
would be okay, right? Yeah, totally.
But they probably
if
wouldn't
they-
call it 5.0 though, because right now it's Star Citizen Alpha 4.0. It'll be called Star Citizen
Mhm.
Beta 1.0. Then they'll
Yeah.
do Star Citizen 1.0.
Mm,
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're keeping that 1.0 for the release. I could see them doing Star Citizen Beta 5.0.
That would be a weird thing though to call it Star Citizen Beta 5.0.
This
It would
is
go-
CIG.
Yeah,
They
that's
do
true.
stuff weird.
I also could see CIG doing a Beta 1.0 as a way of saying we're done adding features. We're done adding. You can play the game as it is.
Okay. All right.
Because that's
I
also a
get you there.
marketing thing where they can be like Beta 1.0 or 1.0 Beta. You know. And they'll probably call it like that. They'll say Star Citizen 1.0 Beta instead of it calling Star Citizen Release 1.0, and that way they can go Star Citizen Release 1.0. And that'll probably be like a year of them testing it because I don't see them taking any less than a year to get from a beta stage to a release stage with the kind of polish they need to do. So.
I have a
We'll
feeling
have to
too.
see. I mean, it could go either way, but your way probably more likely. But I could easily see them doing
To go 5.0 beta. I can see them do that too.
Yeah.
Just
I have
because
a
they want
So
feeling
it
to.
can go either way.
Yeah.
They might do kind of the like they did with the 4.0 preview. They might kind of leave an alpha 4.37, whatever it'll end up being, and then they'll do a beta 1.0 with UEC as the currency, no more wipes, but still some bugs, and call that the launch. That would be a marketing win, right? Because then you can play the game.
Yeah.
Instead of alpha UEC, you will have beta UEC.
If they do beta UEC, I'm building the Gladius and I'm flying.
No one will want to use the beta UEC because everyone will say, well, I want my alpha UEC or my sigma UEC because that's clearly the superior UEC, you know.
Let me jump in and say next question because y'all speaking something into existence I ain't trying to hear. So y'all need to move on to the next question.
All right, we only got a handful of questions left, so we'll go through them pretty
we
quickly.
ain't doing no 5.0s. I'm sorry, I'm like Cephas. We don't go fly to Manchester.
Griffin's pulling out the like the rosary and the we cannot put this hex on us. Do not put this hex on us.
Hold on, let me consult my 8-ball real quick.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Steakru asked the question: what is the most important features, content, stability fix for you? Do you think they could bring what do you think is the most important features, content, features/content/ stability fix do you think they should bring out first to further improve the quality of players' experiences in the game? So I think this question is like, what should their first, or what should they be focusing on for this improvement for gameplay?
The easy answer is fixing the elevator.
Well, yeah.
That's the easier answer.
And the answer is that's already what they're doing. They're fixing the elevators with the transit system. They're building a brand new transit system. If you listen to Ben Wall talk about the ATC system, it keeps him up at night. He hates that thing.
I can't think of anything that they're not already doing.
That's the thing.
I was going to say the general call out was the term "fix the game," and the question is, what does that mean? And so if people feel that the game, and there's a lot of things that are broken, like Fast Car was saying, the elevators, that's broken, but the elevators aren't the game.
No.
The question is, what is the game when people come in? What are people looking forward to that says, I did this and I was able to feel like it ran well? And it's not performance, I don't think. I think even if performance is funky, when people go out to achieve something, whether it's going out with a bunch of Polarises to have a battle at Hathor, or whether it's to deliver a box, did the game let me do that? And so I think, to me, in-game for people, whatever their in-game is, if that's stable and reliable, they'll deal with some of the other craziness. But to deal with the craziness and push up with the craziness and the time, and then I can't do that in-game thing for me, I think that's a real bother for people.
Because I would say personally, It's the small little things, as you're saying, the small little things that can cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big ones is the ship elevators and the cargo
Mm-hmm.
elevators. Like, those
Mm-hmm.
need to be
Yes.
not only fixed but completed. Like the cargo elevator with
Mm-hmm.
with being able to bring up vehicles and stuff like that. That's
Mm-hmm. Yep.
beyond the ATC system, the transit and ATC system, and the mission systems, what they're focusing on. That is the one. Now, that was the most
Mm-hmm.
recent addition too. That was added in 3.2.4. So like that was right before the addition of 4.0. So it's just needs to get its stable pass. It needs to get improved. Is what it needs to. So,
I
Yep.
don't think it's any one thing. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that they need the really kind of the benchmark is that it needs to be the case where if something's not working, it's your fault. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be. You play Elite Dangerous or something. I introduce people to Elite Dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
They have trouble. It's their fault. They're not doing something right for whatever
Mhm.
reason. And it's frustrating, but at least it's because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You introduce somebody
Yeah.
to Star Citizen, is it their fault or is it the game's fault?
Yeah.
And
It's,
if they don't know, that makes it doubly frustrating.
you want it to be a skill issue, not a development issue. You want to be able to say, someone's to be like, well, I died, and everyone just be like, because you suck.
Yeah,
Rather
it
than
needs
like,
to be that.
yeah.
And it's
Right.
everything. If something doesn't work, it has to be your fault 100% of the time, or at least 95% of the time. They're not going to get rid of every bug ever.
Mhm.
We could be, release 5.0. There's going to be bugs. They're always going to exist in every game ever. But it needs to be like with 95% certainty. If my buddy's like, I can't get my ship to work, I'm gonna be like, well, are you stupid? Like, what's
Yeah.
wrong? That needs to be the case. Because right now I'm just like, hey, share your screen. I'll tell you if it's
Yeah.
like,
That's
that's the hard part.
Lady Space Patrol says ideally people aren't just telling each other they suck. Well, and also, and ideally in this situation, if someone's complaining like that, it's because they suck.
Because they suck.
Yeah. Instead of it being like I'm complaining and it's like, oh, it's probably one of thousands of bugs that are problematic. It's like why are you complaining that you died in a game where you could die? You know?
Yeah.
all I want to say is they've gone from suck to blow. That's all I want to say.
That's I think what they need first, but I don't think we're gonna get there for until beta at the early. Like that's just the nature of it.
So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions left, but a lot of them are covering a couple things. So the big one, I'm going to try to kind of merge a couple of these questions together, because Citizen Dance asks, with GTA being pushed, do you think CIG is online with CitizenCon release next year for Squadron 42? But then Serious Fun also asked, what allows for more compelling analysis at this moment in the development of Star Citizen Squadron 42? The state of the verse or the state of the player base? Which has gone through more wholesale changes in the past 12 years? And there's another question from About the Verse asks, do you think Squadron 42 will be delayed to 2027 because of the announcement of the delay of GTA, which is right now planned for release in mid-2026? May 2026. Possible further delays not included. So I think all of those had Squadron 42 in them, is where I read them, but I think they all kind of merged together in the same way, which is, A, when is Squadron 42 going to come out now that we know GTA is coming out in May or shooting for a May release? Will that cause delays in Squadron 42's release? And also, B, what is a better way of looking at the game? Is it the players or is it the development? The players' perception of development or the development itself? And I think that's connected to the Squadron release as well, because I think a lot of people are saying Squadron has to release at this time. Otherwise, if it delays beyond 2026, it's going to lose all of its credibility and no one will want to play it anymore, or, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want first, Paul?
I'm going to pick on you, Oscar.
Pick on me. I'm such a nice guy, though.
So first,
the first question,
of the two questions, the first question, when do you think Squadron 42 is going to release now that GTA?
Yeah, like some people are hoping that Squadron 42 releases before GTA to beat that rush, because once GTA releases, they'll just suck all the air out of the room and no one will care about Squadron 42. I'm like, if GTA releases in May, Squadron 42 can still release 6 months later,
Mhm.
and may be fine.
Well, yeah, I
And
mean,
still be within 2026. That'll be November or December.
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine without those release, assuming GTA does release in May. That's one thing. So, like, if they release before, it'll be have to be January because like I said, once GTA releases, they'll stick all the year to them.
January, February.
But I would prefer, me personally, I think they would do better with a later release because they have more time with polishing. Because they definitely don't want another Cyberpunk issue, fiasco going on. Because people are just hoping. Some people are just hoping and praying that Squadron 42 will fail. Because they say, "Ha ha, I told you so." So I'm saying if GTA releases in May, Squadron 42 can release in November or December and should be fine as long as they, polish and everything. The other part is development of Squadron 42 and Star Citizen versus the state of the player base. That's a good question. Which has gone through more wholesale changes in the last 12 months. See, we don't know everything about the development, even though it's open development. I would have to say maybe the player base because people are coming and going. People are. We see a ton of new player experiences videos. Just the other day, saw this person say they've been living under a rock because they never heard of Star Citizen before last month. So I'm going to say the player base has gone through more changes, more helpful changes in the last 12 months. But maybe I'm mistaken.
Okay. Griff, same question. Squadron 42, the question Squadron 42 now that GTA has a date.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that that GTA 6 does launch in May of next year, I don't think that Rockstar would have picked that date arbitrarily. I think they probably feel very confident about it because obviously it would hurt them to push it back again. So the good thing about that is that it's mid-year and it gives CIG some breathing room to come out later if they want to. I'm not always completely sure about the impact of those two games coming out, whether they're don't get me wrong. I know there's a lot of demographic people in Star Citizen that play GTA. I don't know how many people. Yeah, we're talking about Squadron. Yeah, they're both gamer experiences where you play them and hopefully you can go back to them and play them again. If they don't come out the same week, obviously if they did, we know that GTA would definitely have a greater pull because of its notoriety and its existence in the community. But to me, if CIG decided to say, hey, we're going to put ours out August, anything after August, they'd be okay. I don't know that it would be that. Everybody's going to rush to play GTA and they're going to, and you know how folks are going to do. They're going to burn through it as fast as they possibly can within a month. So it's not like 3 months later, people are going to be burning through playing it all over again. So as long as it's past maybe August, that gives CIG window to put it in at that time. Plus, if there's a Citizen Con, to the question that came up about Citizen Con, would they have a Citizen Con the year that Squadron 42 launches? I would hope so.
Okay. Cepheus? Oh, wait. I forgot the other question. Which do you think? So the other question was, what allows for a more compelling analysis in this moment, development of Star Citizen 142, the state of the verse or the state of the player base?
I'm going to lean differently from Fast Cart and say the state of the universe, the state of the game. CIG, it seems so far that they are putting energy to following up on this thing of making the player experience better for us that are playing the game, and that in turn is causing the response of the player base. If the game was still the same way as it was a year ago, and if we didn't see any movement in the game getting better, then I would definitely lean toward the players have reacted differently. But I think it's more what CIG is doing now.
Cepheus, same question, starting off with Squadron 42. When is it going to release?
Obviously, I mean, everybody knows when GTA 6 drops, it's like Fast Cart said, it's sucking the air out of the gaming room.
Gaming, like probably any media property is probably
every media, everyone, yeah, right.
Yep. From just my brief experience in marketing, that thing terrifies me. I think just absolutely terrifies me in terms of like I wouldn't want to release a book at the same time.
Yeah.
As GTA is releasing.
Or a movie.
Yeah.
So you're not going to want to. Nobody's going to want to release anything probably minus a month or two, plus 3 to 4 months.
Yeah. It's like
of,
between like February and August would be my guess. Is like that's the
exactly.
like quarantine
I
zone.
think I've had this like idea in my head that CIG really wants to like drop Squadron 42 next to CitizenCon 2026. I think that's kind of been complete theory. I have no evidence for this, but it's like it makes sense to me. It's vibes. That they're like, and that wraps up CitizenCon 2956. Go play Squadron.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. And I don't think GTA 6's release would infringe on that very much. Obviously, the best thing for them to do would be get it out this CitizenCon. But I don't think they're going to do that. And they're not going to do that, right? So because releasing it in a bad state is going to hurt it more than GTA 6.
Yeah.
So and they're probably very, very aware. I definitely think they're paying attention to GTA 6. They probably knew about its delay before we did. So I don't really think it's going to affect their plans. I never saw them releasing Squadron in the first half of 2020. There was really it's going to be Q3 or Q4 for sure. Knowing CIG, who said they would get 4.0 out in 2024, they released it in my time zone at least 20 minutes before midnight on the last working day of the year for them.
Yeah. In 2024. Yeah.
They did it, right? They did it. But like, come on. So if it's not December 31st at 11:59 p.m. 2026, yeah, they're gonna do it, right? At this point they can't push it any further.
You're picking my date.
Right? Yeah, they can't push it any further. So I don't really think it's gonna affect them much, considering their current probably are. For go ahead.
The other question was, what allows for more compelling analysis at this moment in the development of Star Citizen 142? The state of the verse or the state of the player base?
I think they're kind of the same thing. They're at least heavily correlated. You see a better game state leads to a better player base to a point. It's not just the state of the game, it's the rate of change for the state of the game. If either of those two things falter, the state of the player base will also decrease. So I think analysis of both is is compelling, and they need to be taken hand in hand. You can't really analyze either in a vacuum. They're both related to each other. And for reading the question, which has gone through more wholesale changes in the past 12 years, I think it's kind of the same answer. Both. They've both changed kind of just as much. Our expectations, the reality of the state of the game, it's all evolving. It always has been, and it probably always will be, even past 1.0. This game's 3.0 is going to look just as different to 1.0 as 4.0 looks to 2.6.
I'm going to make the controversial prediction is that I think CIG will announce a release date, probably at Invictus of next year, or maybe at CitizenCon of this year, of October, of a September-October release for Squadron 42. And then in June of 2026, they're going to delay it by another 3 months. 3 to 4 months, so that it will actually release in February of 2027.
Oh, I hate you because that's probably what's going to happen.
Well,
I can totally see it.
And that is not a like a unique Star Citizen thing. Just every game, like GTA 6, literally just did that.
Paul, you say that, but there'll be extra scrutiny because of the money that CIG crowdfunding has raised. It'll be different. It'll be not a double. It'll be a different standard for Star Citizen Squadron 42,
of course,
compared to every other game.
Yeah.
So I hope that they do not try to project a release date that far in advance, because they'll miss it. I hope
I
they
know.
don't, but they might.
I know what you're saying. You're saying is that like CIG will get hammered harder than any other game studio would normally do because of that, because they have that reputation with game journos of being and with the community, the wider gaming community. I don't think it would be nearly as bad if they said we're releasing on October 12th of 2026, and then they get close to it and they say, listen, we have the game. We're going to show it off more. We're going to be more open with it right now because it's done. But we need more time to chase down the last few things to make sure it really works in everybody's systems. So we decided to make the decision to release it a little bit later. If they did it right, if they were smart enough, I think they would do that. And I'm not saying they're not smart, because they're getting better at everything they're doing in terms of everything like marketing and such. But
I think it's one of three real possibilities. The least likely is that they publish a date at like Invictus next year or SitCon this year, and they stick to it and they release it and it's great. Or there's your scenario where they push it like into next year. I think more likely they'll give like that October release date, and then they're like, hey, we're gonna release it in like December 15th.
Yeah.
But they want to keep that 2026. That is like the biggest.
Oh,
like I said, December 31st at 11:59 p.m. They're going to keep it 2026.
From what I've heard from the development teams and the people who work at CIG, I don't often talk about this because it's not something. The problem about talking about any sort of sources that you get from inside CIG is the one thing you learn is that CIG will make a decision, and then 6 months later they will change their mind. So you say something as like a source, and then 6 months later it doesn't happen. You look like a fucking idiot. So because that's just how things work. But so that's why I don't talk a lot about it. But from the vibe I'm getting from the people I know who work on Squadron 42 is 2026 is the year. Like, doesn't matter. 2026 is coming out. It's like they are at that stage of like lockdown, head down. We're doing this thing to the point where even Chris is like, okay, no more changes. We need to do this to make it work. We're going to cut this part. We're going to move this part around. I'm not going to complain about it. We're just going to see how it works, which was surprising to me. Is like Chris is always meddling with things constantly because it's his baby and he's concerned about it. But it's like the fact that Chris is even just like, Jesus take the wheel, kind of moment. So trusting the team to get the job done right, I should say. So
I think there's a third possibility. I think they could get to, they publish a release date SitCon this year. They say we're going to drop it October next year. They get to October next year, and then they're like, well, it's not quite ready. We're 98% the way there. We're going to give you a beta.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then instead of like they're saying, okay, 1.0 full release Squadron 42, December 31st at 11:59 p.m.
Yeah.
But like here at SitCon and like after SitCon is over, anybody who owns the game can play the like full game beta.
I don't think they'll do that. That's Chris.
You think it'd be like first chapter?
They would do like the first 3-8 chapters because like not to I'm not going to spoil the game, but the first 3 chapters is sort of like the first act. It's sort of like getting you used to how the game plays. It's all of the normal beginning stuff. We already seen chapter 1, which is the prologue. So
to answer the question, like people at beta's spoilers, there won't be a beta. I think they would do it like they did 4.0's preview, where like they're giving us 4.0, but they acknowledge that it's not where they want it.
Yeah. So it's soft launch rather than being a real launch.
Exactly. They're like, we got it out. You can't say we didn't. But we also have that asterisk in there of I had a bug. Okay, well, yeah, we told you you'd probably have bugs.
Yeah. I know we probably want to move on, but I just want to say I am happy to have met you because I've been meeting that December 31st at 11:59 p.m. for as long as I can remember. You're the first person other than me to beat that drum. So it's nice.
Great minds, man. Great minds.
All right, hold my beer.
Uh-oh.
No pushback. October. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because there's also marketing that has to take place.
Yes.
That's the thing that they've got. They have to give time for marketing to take place for this thing. It ain't like they're gonna come out at CitizenCon and announce it and drop the game. So I'm saying October, maybe December. I don't think we're gonna. If we go into, I'm gonna be honest with you, Paul. I do not think they can afford to go past 2026.
I agree.
I don't think they can. The psyche of these people is just not there.
It's not even. It's not even a like a backers thing. It's the CIG developers. I think they're done. Like,
they're ready to get it out.
They're
ready to get it out. Now, the other reason why I'm saying that only is because of this too. There was a lot of anticipation for it to happen in 2025, and giving them that extra year for whatever the reasons are. We've heard a lot of various reasons. Is to me why that's why they didn't say when, they just said 2026. But I think whenever they announce it, that's it. Ain't no extending as far as I'm concerned. So
no, I agree. And I think that's the other thing that, again, because I don't like talking about my internal sources CIG because of how it goes on, but I know, and the other people I know who have internal sources, I've talked with them, all of them said the same thing, which was 2025 was when they're going to release it. And that's why all of us anticipated that it was going to be a big announcement, and then nothing. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Shit.
I don't think it's lost on them.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they know.
Griff, I'm giving you your beer back, but it's half full, and I don't know what happened. So I'm just letting you know.
Yep.
I will answer the last question, the last part of that, and then we'll kind of get through this because we're kind of at the almost 2 hour mark. So, but these are good questions. Which is, I think Cepheus is right in terms of like the thing to look at in terms of the state of the verse, the state of the player base, is that they're the same thing. They're two sides of the same coin. Without the verse, you don't have the player base. Without the player base, you don't have the verse. And if you look at that, when the verse isn't ready, the players are. Jumptown, ship swap meets, so many different things have happened that just the players were involved in, and the CIG sort of leaned into that, and that encouraged the development of the verse in certain ways. And then CIG will then push things like Save Stanton and Overdrive and Fight for Pyro, and that's starting pushing the Online and Mine. We're moving into that direction where the verse is starting to pollute. So it's kind of back and forth. All right, so I'm going to kind of pull out the important ones here. There's quite one question is like, what's your upcoming feature you're most excited for? We literally talked about that already. So, it's a good one. Let's see to keep that one. All right. Drago Talon asks, do you think the way they're talking about rep being localized and not system-wide will change the scope of the game and make rep not matter as much as advertised?
Oh, the new thing with rep.
Yeah.
I like what they talked about. They talked about the versus the global thing, that it would be localized a little bit more. That didn't, or was it the other way around?
It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Not
Global. It'll
Yeah.
be global, not localized. Yeah. That doesn't.
See,
I think that there's that thing that people want to do everything, but they're trying to create a world where that's just, you can't, you got to pick and choose. If you do everything, I don't know. I like the pick and choose side of things.
I think it's a bit of a concession for practicality's sake.
Yeah.
If everybody's locked out of quests from different people and you try to get a group of players together, nobody can do it because everybody's locked out of somebody.
Yeah.
And I think they've recognized that it's kind of a just, can you do missions for this person or can you not? Doing missions for this guy is going to affect doing missions with that guy so much anyway. Like they do it now, but I think that they're kind of realizing that if we have this like 5-dimensional system, everybody's just gonna
Yeah. Speak up a little bit, Cepheus, because they're even getting quieter. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry, I've been.
We've been doing this for 3 hours, so it can.
Yeah.
3 hours? Dang.
It's just about.
So, but yeah, I don't like it because one of the things that I would argue is unique about Star Citizen and what they were proposing was that actions had consequences. And so
Mhm.
while it is making it easier for players to play together, like one of the things that drives me crazy about like the Elder Scrolls series is you can be the head of the Thieves Guild, the head of the Mages Guild, the head of the Fighters Guild, the head like all of the things. You can be the special snowflake, the Mary Sue of everything. And for me, that means your choices don't matter. It's just sort of a power fantasy wish fulfillment. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't like that sort of approach when it comes to immersive, role play games. Most
So maybe I
says
got it in reverse. Do I have it in reverse then? Because I thought that's what it
what
was. I
so
always
what
have it
they
backwards.
what they said was that you can no longer get negative rep with individual locations. So, for instance, if you worked for Crusader and you messed up something in Crusader, you'd get negative rep, which means that you would be
Right.
no longer able to land at Orison. Or
Okay.
every time Crusader would see you, they would shoot at you, which meant
Okay.
that by making one mistake or by doing one thing, you would end up blocking yourself out of an
Angela, no,
entire
I'm
groups.
live streaming, sweetie. Hold on a second.
So yeah, that's what they were doing. And I don't like that idea because there should be consequences. If you screw up and you mess around with the wrong group, you should have that consequence. And it's like, well, now I can't play with my friend. It's like, then you and your friend need to like have a better account or something like that, because you need to be aligned better, because just don't make stupid decisions.
It's such a hard situation because I do so many things with such a large group of people at this point that if
Yeah.
I'm trying to get, I've got my guy that guns on my Polaris, and now he went and did an operation with other guy over there at Crusader last night, and something happened, and now he can't go to Crusader, and now I don't have a gunner at my Polaris because we were going to fuel up at Orison. It just there's so many. You get a group of like 15, 20 people, and it's not just getting your friend to not be an idiot. It's wrangling a herd of 20 cats in such a complex system. Like, I love the idea of a consequences matter rep system. I've just realized it's not really practical.
I think
It's
it is
such a
practical.
difficult-
It just needs to
I
have
think so.
it needs to have
Yeah.
gradients. That's the problem. So right
It-
now it's you're negative, I hate you. It should be negative
Killing
is
you.
like go fuck
There needs
yourself.
to be a scale. There
It
needs to be a
needs-
scale.
Right.
Because if you had
exactly.
the sliding scale, it wouldn't be you screw up once and you're suddenly persona non grata. They're going to shoot you on sight. It should be like, cool. Well, you have this guy who's an asshole who mooned me on his way out of the facility. So I'm gonna dock your pay. So you're not going to get full results from that mission. And that way you can turn to your friend and hit him over the head with something and be like, stop being an asshole, so that still has a consequence. There's still a consequence in there, but you can still play with your friends. And to me, that's more fun because everyone has that guy, that friend who's do the wrong thing, the Leroy Jenkins of the group. And then you kind of like that makes things more fun and engaging,
Sure. We'll see what they do. Hopefully they find a nice middle ground that works.
I do think my hope and my theory is that what they're doing is they're making it more generic. So as a result of being more generic, there's still going to be negative consequences for making your choices, but it's going to be negative consequences of making choices with 4 groups rather than 50. So,
okay.
So like if you're an outlaw and you're working for the council, then nobody likes you in lawful space, not just the people you pissed off. Versus if you're working for the merchants guild or the haulers guilds, you're not going to piss off everybody else by working for the haulers guild, but that sort of thing.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping they're going for. More big rep mattering than tiny rep mattering. So, all right, let's move on because we've got a lot of questions left, and I still want to get through this. We're almost at 2 hours.
Wow.
We're almost at 3.
Yeah, almost at 3 hours total, but 2 hours for this recording.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'm just kind of skipping a couple of these. Because these are all really good ones that I want to answer. So there is 4. Alien Anderson asks, the new mining resources, Solidium, etc., can only be found at Hathor facilities in the whole verse. Where and how would you place them in the verse and still keep gameplay exciting? I think the easiest answer is just make them available in very rare chances in most mining locations. So it's like a 0.0001 chance of them showing up. But then there's certain concentrations where you can go to where you can get higher concentrations.
That's to say more concentrations versus least, yeah.
Yeah.
For mining, yeah.
So it still keeps it exciting, but it also makes it more sense. It's like, oh, well, selenium is found rarely in any rock.
Yeah.
But here it's like deep concentration.
Plentiful. Yeah, because if you isolate it down to just one location, then that also makes it more difficult in the area of
you need those.
Piracy and things like that too. Everybody knows that's where you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
We've had that happen before in the game where it happens anyway where the economy of gold is worth a certain amount and everybody knows to go to this spot. So you still want to give some opportunity, but you can minimal risk versus those people who are willing to take the bigger risk.
Yeah. Anything to add, y'all? No? All right.
Nope.
We've got 3 more questions. The next one is, how do you balance showcasing the game's potential with its current bugs and limitations? It's been impossible for me to convince people to give it a shot. The easiest answer is don't tell them to play the game until it's ready to go.
Yeah.
You stole my answer.
Yeah.
Don't try to convince. If you want to convince people, Detox, Bed Banana, I'm trying to think of other people. Wicked Wookie with the Scooter series.
EE Studios.
Yeah, EE Studios. There's a ton of different groups of machinima makers and content creators. Voidy, Voidy vids. They do these sorts of, curated action experiences that you can play and watch. You can see the potential where they're going to clip out some of the jank because it doesn't make for good information. You want them to be like, hey, this is the potential of this game. There are bugs, but this is what the game can do right now. And, don't try to convince them to play the game because you're going to end up looking like a crazy person because they're going to look at you and be like, this game doesn't function. Why do you play it?
It's becoming less like that.
It is.
All the time. It's getting a lot easier to convince people. I always just say, hey, hop with me in a call on Discord. I'll stream the game to you for an hour. And then you decide. What do you want me to show you? Just and do that and let them decide. If I run into bugs, if I don't, whatever it is, I think we're getting into a state where we can really we can show them a Bed Bananas video and say, hey, this game is like this, like 90%.
Yeah.
And be telling the truth. And it wasn't that way last year, but it kind of is now. But you definitely need to tell people that it's still got its bugs and limits. It's becoming less and less of an obstacle every time.
Yeah. All right. So these last 2 questions are really, really, really good. So I would say saving them. The easiest one is, Scissor Fuzz asks, do you see a push to be as close as possible, close to 1.0 as possible with the release of Squad 42? Basically, do you think 1.0 and Squad 42 are linked? That like when Squad 42 comes out, 1.0 has to be within a certain striking range.
They want to be linked. I don't think they will be linked.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the original Kickstarter. Chris's ideal scenario was that when people finish Squadron, that the persistent universe would be their next step of where they would go. My feeling is within a year.
Okay.
Not immediately, but within a year. Because I think that if they don't provide that avenue for, some people say, well, the next chapter of Squadron is going to come. Yeah, but that's like when, and that depends on the success of Squadron. So to me, the persistent universe needs to be in a very good place for people to come out of Squadron 42. If they come out of Squadron, have a great experience, but come into the universe and it's horrible, that's not going to be good. But I do hope that they would have it ready within a year of release. So that means 2027 for me.
I agree. I think it's probably more like 2028, but I think they'll in a good position where they'll have all the content happening because then they'll also want to like bug fix and things like that. But I also based again off of the conversations I've had with people at CIG. I don't think they talk about that often internally. They don't seem to be that kind of like well, the players are more concerned about the how well Squadron and Star Citizen are together compared to the developers. Developers are just focusing on making the game. And that's all they care about. So they're not thinking about this as like, oh yeah, it's got to be as good as possible for Squadron to be as good as possible for Squadron. I think they just were like, hey, we need to. The game sucks, and we need to improve it because it's not fun, and people aren't enjoying it. So we'll take. Now we've got this big tech in. Let's take a year and fix things up, make things work.
I think they've kind of they've realized kind of what we realized and what I think they knew that we found out is that, and I think you've said this before, Paul, is that we all talk about Star Citizen 1.0 is this like huge big flip of the switch. The game is done now, but it's gonna get Star Citizen's getting better every step of the way, and we're gonna have a good, an increasingly an improving game every patch up until 1.0. I think that their aim is probably, and again, they probably don't talk that much, but their aim, at least at the top level, is to have Star Citizen in a place where you can hop in and play it for 4, 6, 8, 12 hours and have no significant issues and call it good. And they would like to have that you could go into off the heels of playing Squadron 2. I don't think they need to be anywhere near 1.0 to do that. I think that they'll probably be near a place like that by the end of this year. Okay. At the rate that they're going. I think that that's kind of where they're pushing to, and then they're going to want to stay there. But we're waiting for Squadron because that's a whole new experience.
Yeah.
But Star Citizen 1.0 is just going to be an incremental change compared to what we've been playing all these years, just like every other patch.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's really. I don't think they're going to be pushing towards it. I think that we're gonna. They just want a game. They want Star Citizen to be where you can go from one to the other and have a similar 1.0 will come when it
comes. We'll go on to the last question, which is Star Citizen content creator, or not Star Citizen content creator, it's called CC_creator. As Star Citizen's content is developing, do you see solo play losing viability? And I'm going to start with Griffin on this one because I want to make him dance.
I'm going to quote CIG. CIG is going to do their best to provide avenues for solo players to enter the persistent universe and have a good time. I think the way solo players have been playing the game is going to change, but I think that CIG will also continue to find ways for that lone player who likes to go out there by themselves and do some things and accomplish and feel like they're rewarded. But the game is an MMO. It is designed for multiplayer, but there will be interactions of both. So I don't have any bad feelings toward those who want to do solo efforts in the game. I think it's just things that maybe some people have envisioned they would like to do. They may find that a bit restrictive in a solo space. So
that's good.
I'll do the cabbage patch for you. No, anyway. Do I think the solo play loses viability? It depends on the type of solo play that you enjoy. It comes and goes. That's a nuanced question too. It depends on what you want to do solo. I have to say that. Yeah, I think developing. I mean, CIG wants people to play the game together as much as possible. So I think, depending on the activities, if you want to fly a ship solo, you can do that. I mean, if you want to solo a ship, you don't want to do like the pledge solo.
Yeah.
That we did the earlier conversation. So I think it's possible to have solo play, maybe not the solo play that people are hoping for, put it that way.
I'm going to go with the bold, daring, dare I say, shocking opinion that most people's vision of Star Citizen 1.0 is wrong. because CIG has a general idea of what 1.0 is, and everyone still has an idea of what that means. Solo play is still going to be viable for sure. Does that mean you're going to be able to do end game content as a solo player? No. Is multiplayer going to be, multi-crew going to be viable? Yes. Does that mean that you're going to only do multiplayer, multi-crew ships? No. Not everyone is going to have a base on a planet somewhere. Some people are just going to have stuff in cities. The final version of Star Citizen 1.0 and even beyond that is so different from what we currently have that it's almost impossible to even envision what that looks like, because even CIG's plans can change and evolve and adapt as they get closer to 1.0. They'll throw some things out, they'll find some better solutions for things, and that will be it. And of course, the game will evolve beyond 1.0 as well. So if the question is specifically about will solo players be effective as they are now in 1.0, no. But you will have more options in 1.0 to play as a solo player. There'll be more things for you to do as a solo player. And in general, you will be in a better state. The game will be in a better state. Your experience will be in a better state. There'll be more options. And so you won't even realize, or you won't even care as much, because you can still have fun. Unless you're a meta player who's like, I want to be control of Javelin solo, then you're just going to be in pain for most of it, because like you're going to have people. CIG is all but said that you're going to have people, especially at 1.0. So, Cepheus, last talk on this.
Yeah, I think it's a big question of what you consider viable to mean. Like, will you solo be able to have a little cabin in the woods, have a couple million UEC, have an Avenger or a Cutlass or a Constellation even? Sure, yeah, totally. Can you run the backwater trading routes or a couple small passenger lines, or have an apartment in ArcCorp? Yeah, sure, totally. Why not? Do a little mining, all that stuff. Yeah, great, awesome. Are you going to be able to solo a Reclaimer, a Javelin, a Polaris, Xenothreat themselves, a Line in Mine, all the big multi-crew content that you can kind of finagle solo? No, you're going to have an orbital space station, or you're going to build a Bengal. No, that's just not, no. But that's not really viable, right? Can you have a good experience by yourself? Absolutely. That's what CIG has said, is that they want to have the small transient jump points that only small ships can go through. They want to have the low quantity, high value commodities that you can trade in your Avenger. The little log cabin in the woods that you can build over the course of a day or a single play session. They showed that off at SidCon last year. All that is single player viable stuff. But they've made it very clear that they're going to have that end game org content that is going to be for a large group of players. Would my org and all 150 of us be able to build a Bengal? Probably not. In a small amount of time anyways. It might take us a couple months. I hope those are like tall orders. Tall orders. That should never be viable solo or even with a small group. But depending on what viable means for you, I think solo play will always be viable.
Yeah. Someone said,
"Got to know what you can do."
Someone's saying, "Don't underestimate the drive of solo players. Solo players have had completed some unbelievable feats in gaming." Do not conflate what one person can do with what everyone can do. Mm-hmm. Let Me Solo Her is a legend in gaming, but not everyone is Let Me Solo Her. The famous incredible lines, if everybody is super, then nobody is.
Right.
Like just because someone can do it doesn't mean it's viable for them to do it. And so that's the important caveat when it comes to this. Are we saying no one can do end game content as a solo player? No. But am I saying you personally watching right now, Eric, I'm looking at you. Can you do it? No, Eric. You've got a mortgage and 4 kids. Okay. You've got a job to go to on Monday. You're not going to be able to build a Bengal by yourself. I'm sorry. someone has to crush your dreams. It's me. All right.
Eric's gonna be
Paul,
real upset,
give
man.
him
He's
10
gonna leave a
years. He
comment.
can do it in 10 years.
When he's divorced and his kids are off in college, maybe.
When he joins an org.
Unless he joins an org, yeah. Hopefully people know that I'm joking, but thank you for joining us. Thank you, Cepheus. Go ahead.
Everyone thinks you're joking except for Eric.
Except for Eric. Eric is really mad at me right now. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for Cepheus. Make sure you check out Cepheus at Cepheus_TV on YouTube and Twitch. Make sure you check out Griffin and Fastcart on Soul Citizens on YouTube and Twitch. And of course, check us out on quantumvegas.space, where you're gonna see myself and Griffin and Fastcart. We've got a big organization. We're a big celebration and kind of get together and meet up of Star Citizen fans, Star Citizen fan convention in Las Vegas, Nevada on July 12th at Area 15. Tickets are on sale right now. They're $99. And it's going to be a weekend or a day of fun. We're going to have a Bar Citizen beforehand and a brunch afterwards. So you have a nice little weekend getaway. You can hang out. You can go to Vegas and you can just explore Area 15. Area 15 is a really cool place. It's actually got a nice there's an ARG in Area 15 that I keep, wherever I see the footage, I'm like, I know that ARG. I know that alternate reality game. I love it. I love that thing.
Axe throwing, VR. There's so much stuff there to do. It's going to be so cool. And by the way, there's over 25 giveaways from CIG that are going to be amazing that we're doing. Stuff from Thrustmasters, stuff from the Monster Tech chair, the CIG the chair. We're giving away one of those customized chairs. I mean, there's tons of stuff that we're doing. So yeah, don't miss it. That's all I can tell you. You're going to hear about it later and say, I wish I had went. So make sure you're there.
It's Vegas, so it's really easy to get into, and there's lots of other things you can go there as well. And it's it's the summer. I know it's hot, but there's air conditioning and there's lots of other venues and stuff.
Yep.
And for those of you who are watching live, we're gonna pull the winner of that ticket that we're giving away at the end after the recording. So after I finish the recording, I pull that winner. But again, go to quantumvegas.space and check that out for yourself. And if you did enjoy this, hit that follow button on Twitch, on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you come join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub and youtube.com/the Captain's Table Podcast at Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, where you can come ask your own questions live. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday with the black.